Hello my friends, my name is Lindsay and I run the blog Books for Christian Girls, and welcome back to a little corner of the internet where I talk mainly about Christian fiction. Today though, it's actually going to be mostly clean fiction. I think I only have one Christian fiction book, and that's like a technicality. I basically read all clean fiction, mainly Fairytale retellings, which you're going to hear about in November, and that's what this wrap up is all my books I read in November. It's like 23, 24 books plus a DNF. So I thought we could start real quick with the technical Christian fiction book, and let me pull that up real quick. I forgot to mention that I will also have content reviews of all these books linked below. All of them will be taking you to Goodreads, just as a heads up, and I will have content info for all of them, except I think my DNF one I didn't tell the main content. I just went very broad about like why I'm DNFing it and content reasons kind of thing, but everything else will have content reviews. So now let's get started. So really the only Christian fiction book is connected to a series that has Christian faith content. This one really didn't, but it was The Biggest Trouble Ever by Katie McCrite. This is connected to the Confessions of April Grace series, which I have talked about. They are very humorous. They're geared for middle grade, but content-wise I would put it more as like upper middle grade, lower YA personally, because April Grace is kind of a sassy little mess, if you will, and this series is the misadventures of April Grace, and it is set when she's a bit younger, and she's just entertaining. And in this book she gets a pet turkey around Easter time, and at first she's like, this is the ugliest thing ever, but then she really starts to love her pet turkey. But then Thanksgiving is starting to approach and she's getting a little nervous on what she's been hearing. And so with April Grace, she kind of feels like she could be related to Amelia Bedelia just a little bit in certain thoughts and mannerisms. Like, not really, but like she reminds me of her, if that makes any sense at all. I gave this one 3.5 stars. It was cute, it was entertaining, it was on Kindle Unlimited, and since I've enjoyed the main series, I thought I would start reading the spin-off ones, and I actually read this one on our American Thanksgiving Day, and it was humorous to do that. So that's really the only Christian fiction book. There really wasn't any faith content in that book, being so short. It was only like 80 pages, I think. It was not even 80 pages, like 67 pages. So technically that's not Christian fiction, I would say, but because the rest of the series is under that and was originally published by Thomas Nelson or Tommy Nelson. It might have been just Thomas Nelson. I don't think it was Tommy Nelson. So technically, in my opinion, it's considered Christian fiction because the rest of the series is, but it's really had no faith content, so little details on that. So let's move on into clean fiction, and unlike how I typically have my recent reads where I do lowest rating to highest rating, I have that, but I kind of, do you hear my neighbor's noisy truck? I'm so sorry. I kind of have them grouped though, so like I've got my lowest kind of ranking ones, and then I have ones that are kind of all right at the same level of a 3-star, and then I've got ones that were like 3.5, can't really differentiate, so I kind of have them in levels, if you will. Like if I was doing a tier ranking video, it would make sense. So I'm not doing a tier ranking video though, so some of these were better than others, and those are going to be towards the end. And I think that's all I have to say. I have some duds in here, I'm not gonna lie, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with my DNF, and that was A Dangerous Pursuit by Laura Beers. This was my first book by this author, and I'm hoping I like her other ones better, but this one I thought I would really like because it's Regency, Spies, and Secrets. Regency, buzzword, spies, buzzword, secrets. Not opposed to secrets in my fiction books. So I wanted to try one of her books, and I saw this one and I was like, oh my goodness, this looks very intriguing, but it fell flat for me. I actually got about 100 pages into this book, so about a third of the way through, and typically when I'm that far in, I will just push through, but I couldn't with this one. I was having such a hard time with it. I think though this book made me realize that when I read about spies, I want it to be fictional problems and fictional cases. I don't want it to be about history with this country and then that country's at war. I don't really know that much about that, so I'm trying to keep up with all of that, plus keep track of the characters, and then there's people that could be double agents, and I'm just lost. So I've learned fake problems are better than historical problems when it comes to my spy books for me personally. And then the main couple of this, they were instantly at each other's throats with that enemies to more, but it was the kind of enemies to more I cannot stand, where they are just hostile and rude to each other, but then when they leave, they're kind of thinking of the other's appearance, and I was just like, what? What? The final straw for me, though, was when the main guy goes to like a pub kind of place, a coffee shop, something like that, and there's men there and they're making very rude comments about one of the women and having sexual suggestions, and I was just like, you know, I'm done. So that was that one. We'll see. Now, mind you, they were drunk, and the main guy is just like over it, which obviously so not acceptable, but it still was like, did we really have to add like the details? We could have just like, they made comments kind of thing, like we didn't really have to write it out in my opinion. But yeah, that was that. So I DNF'd it. I will try another book by this author. Typically when it's like not a major content thing, I'll give an author 3 tries, but if that third one is a strike as well, probably not going to be trying any of your books again. But this was my first one, so I will see her other books at some point, but I'm no longer in a big hurry because this one was the one I was most interested in. If you've read any books by this author, I would be really curious to know if you would recommend them, or any of them in particularly, your thoughts. Even if you wouldn't recommend them, let me know that as well. Does that seem to be like a normal thing for her books? Please let me know. I really would appreciate it. And then moving on, okay, this one was a disappointment, and I'm going to be probably in the minority about this book, and I feel bad. In general, I feel bad, but it just, yeah, okay, it just didn't work for me, and that was Murder at Mistlethwaite Manor. I have no idea how you say that, and I'm just going to have a lisp over it, so we're not even going to have me try it. And that's by A.J. Skelly. I ended up giving this one 1 star, and I think if you're an Agatha Christie fan, you probably would like it, but I've only read, or attempted to read, 1 Agatha Christie book, and I was not a fan because it felt so depressing to me, and I know that's an unpopular opinion, so forgive me, but that just wasn't my thing. And so it reminded me a lot of that style, and it's promoted as that style because it's a Victorian Christmas party and then murders happen. But honestly, to me, it reminded me so much of the 1980s Clue movie. I don't recommend that movie, but I've seen it a ton because of my sister. And it really, really reminded me, like, to certain little details. I was like, that's in that movie, which the Clue game is, yes, originally based off of an Agatha Christie book. One of the series. I think, like, originally that was kind of the connection. So it makes sense that I was being reminded of the thing that I'm more familiar with, but I was really bummed that I didn't like this one. I think it should be noted, though, that like there's a lot of blackmail and threats, and then there was some sexual innuendos and a couple having an affair and comments about that, and then there was a comment by the main girl's, what was he? Like the guy she was kind of engaged to, not quite engaged to, her intended, if you will. He made a comment and I was just like, ugh. Like there was a lot of little things that just added up, and then by the end I was just like, I didn't care for this. I just didn't care for this. There also was a really heavy kiss that had tongue involvement, and I was just like, no thank you. So yeah, that was uncomfortable for this reader, to say the least. So plot-wise, content-wise, and then also there was just like, this is a technical, like, this is such a nitpick, and forgive me, but it kind of drove me batty how, like, she kept correcting herself because, like, her ex-fiance, ex-flame, whatever you want to call, was also at this big Christmas party. But the thing is with this Christmas party is the guy that's organizing it, it was a mystery, and it turns out nobody likes this guy. Everybody hates this guy's gut. Guess who gets murdered? But he's got blackmail on all of these party guests. So again, it really reminded me of the Clue movie. And again, that's probably based off of an Agatha Christie book, but I'm not really familiar with her books to a high degree, I guess I should say. And so whenever she would see her ex-flame for like the first few chapters, she kept having to correct herself and not call him by his Christian name. And then she was constantly seeing stars and dots and that kind of thing when she got upset, which was often. And I was just, that's just like a little technical thing that's like, okay, we are having so much repetition. We need new ways to word things because that's the same thing keeps happening. And again, also on the title, it should be murders. There's multiple murders. Not just murder. Murders. So, yeah, I'm probably going to be in the minority about this one. But I didn't care for it. And I've got content reviews down below, so feel free to check it out, I guess. The next book I really wanted to like, but it was an unfortunate miss for me as well, and that was Married at Sunrise, and I think the author's name, how to pronounce it, is Leialoha Humpherys. It looks so pretty, and I just know I'm not going to say it right, so I'm so sorry. This is actually a King Thrushbeard retelling, and the general thought of that one is that a hoity-toity princess has like rejected all the suitors, and her dad just gets fed up with it. The king gets fed up with it, and it's like, the next guy that enters in, you're gonna marry him. And who comes in but like a peasant who has a crazy beard kind of thing. And so that's the general story of King Thrushbeard. And with that, I have never really found one I really liked, except I read a mashup of one in December, which I will be talking about in my next recent reads, that I really enjoyed, and I was stunned, but we're going to talk about that next video. But this book and back, I have not had a King Thrushbeard retelling that I really like, because the main girl is always such a brat and I just want to shake her, you know? And that was definitely the case with this main girl as well. The main girl really had such a mindset that everyone hates her. Everyone in her family hates her. She's doing nothing good for her kingdom that they know of, so they hate her. And she thinks everyone hates her, and that was a big part of the book. Did you just get a little frustrated like I did with that? We're finally told like what happened and everything about 100 pages in, but like you have 100 pages of her just thinking that everyone hates her, and I'm just like, oh my word, girl. And the thing is with the King Thrushbeard retelling, we eventually get that character development, the much needed character development, but you just kind of want to just bop her over the head with a shoe in the meantime. At least I do. I put in my review on Goodreads that the main couple felt like little teeny boppers because of the angst with their romance and the drama, and there's the lack of trust between the two, and that is definitely it. You would think I would like this retelling more, the King Thrushbeard retellings more, because of the secret identity, hidden identity, but I just haven't had one that I've really loved, except for the mashup that I'm going to talk about next week. Might be next week, we'll see, next video. And yeah, I was just really sad this was a miss for me. I almost DNF'd it, but I wanted to like see that character development that was much needed. But yeah, it still just didn't wow me, which was unfortunate. I think I may try the rest of the series if I get told they're better. So if you've read the rest of the series, please feel free to let me know, because I want to like this series. I really want to try to read the rest, but I'm also just not a big beach person, and this series definitely has to do with oceans and sand and sea and that kind of thing, so that might also be affecting my enjoyment level. I don't know. So if you've read the rest of the series, please let me know y'all's thoughts. I would really appreciate it. Okay, and then switching, I actually have this one physical currently, so let's talk about that one if I can reach it. Gotta hold my tongue just right. Okay, and that is The Orchids of Ashthorne Hall. This one started out such a good premise, but I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. So this is early Victorian, like 1887, and it started out so good. So our main girl is Hyacinth, love the flower name, and she is kind of known in a bunch of different circles because of her father, but also because of her flower taking skills, and she really thrives with orchids. She inherited one of her mother's orchids, or many of her orchids, I don't remember, and that's like her thing. She knows orchids, which I won't lie, this book made me want to run out to the store and buy like 12 new orchids, which is probably not a good feeling, but I love my orchids. They're beautiful, so it was really fun to read about the orchids. But the orchids really weren't in the book much. For being in the title, they weren't in it as much as I was hoping as a flower gardener person, so that was a bummer. But basically she gets a house sitting job when the guy is in India, and he has an extensive orchid collection, and so she goes and stays there to take care of his orchids. And of course she meets, I think, what was he, the estate manager? Caretaker. Okay, close enough. And he's handsome and mysterious and cute. Did I mention he's cute? And so we have that, but then there's some things that aren't adding up and happening, and there's like rumors of a ghost, of course, because look at the cover. It kind of implies there might be that kind of thing. This cover is really neat though, and I don't want to say this was a cover buy because the title helped with orchids for me. But yeah, it started out as a 4-star, but as the book continued, I was just disappointed, which was a bummer. The more I thought about this book, the lower my rating actually dropped when I was putting my review together, because with the ghost element, Hyacinth, the main girl, is very excited about the thought of ghosts and making friends with the ghost. And like, we know ghosts aren't real, okay, right? Christians, the only ghost is the Holy Ghost, right? So we know that, but nowhere in this book is she like saying, oh no, ghosts aren't real, or there must be a logical thing. She is really excited about potentially meeting a ghost friend. It's very obvious that she believes in them and that there must be a reason that this spirit is lingering in the house, and like, what can she do to help? And I'm just like, what? I was a little taken back by that. I'm not gonna lie. This is a Shadow Mountain Regency, not Regency, but like historical fiction, and they have a lot of Regency books, and I've enjoyed a few of them. I've talked about them before, but I was really bummed it went that way. Shadow Mountain is an LDS publisher out of Utah, and I don't know, I was uncomfortable with that element. I really was, that it was not talking about, oh hey, ghosts aren't real. This is obviously a flesh and blood human. There's a secret and a mystery here, but it ain't of a specter kind of thing. I was really bummed about that, and again, uncomfortable. In the discussion questions, which it should be noted, I rarely look at discussion questions. Like when I review a book for BFCG, I will, but for clean fiction, it's like, man. So the first discussion question is, do you believe in ghosts? Have you ever been into a building that felt haunted? Girly pop, no, let's not mess with that. That's just inviting trouble in my eyes, and it's just like, no, we're not gonna mess with that. And the final result was a, can I say it? Is that gonna be a spoiler? It's technically a spoiler, so hit the fast forward button a couple times. Okay, so it's a human, it's a fake ghost, if you will, and it's not a real ghost, right? It's a human. So I was hoping it would be that way, but there was so much of her excitement about potentially having a ghost friend, a new ghost buddy, that I was just like, hang on a second, pump the brakes here, stop, hold on, what? I also want to note that this is very much insta-love, insta-attraction. You could almost say insta-lust. Almost. I mean, there is one part where they're comparing her flower's petals to her lips and how soft they are. Like, her holding the flower up and him like, I'm embarrassed just saying these words. This is going on the internet. So like, yeah, there was that part. It was a bit much, to say the least, there. And I don't know. I really do like that I have this in my review, that I said they had their moments and conversations, the main couple, that were absolutely so silly and borderlining on ridiculousness. I think if a third party had been there looking at them like their brains were rotting due to being smitten to each other, I am said third party. Because, yeah, their attraction was definitely based on the flirting and the physical appearance. And I was just like, okay, nothing else. Nothing else. Where's the orchids? I signed up for the orchids, okay? So, yeah. This was interesting. This was interesting. I want to know, I keep noting all these things. I keep saying, let me just note this one thing. Let me note this one thing. But I really had a lot of good notes. Looking at my review, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that part. Now I remember that part. This is why I write my reviews. More for my sake than anyone else's. When it comes to my thoughts. When it comes to content, that's for others. But for me, it is what I write in my thoughts to remember, so I can make these videos and try to remember what the book was about, because all I remember, honestly, prior to reading my own review, is the flowery lip scene, and then the ghosts, and the major lack of orchids. A major lack of orchids. That's all I remember. I basically just rambled all through like tangent on this book, and I apologize. Basically, it was the ghosts and how they weren't looked upon as fake, and then the lack of orchids. What was up with that? The insta-lust attraction, and then there was just a few other little things that I will admit I did little mini rants of in my review, so if you're looking for an entertaining time, you might check out my review. But it was just disappointing overall. Very unfortunate, because this cover is just, it attracts you, right? But yeah, 2.5 stars. I will be unhauling. And then I have 5 3 stars, and they're kind of all just right around the same. And for me, a 3 star is that I liked it. It was average. I don't remember anything about it. And that is quite literally the case with the first book, A Lily in Disguise by Jessica Scarlett. This is a clean Regency book. What was this book even about? I don't remember. It's been like a month and I don't remember. Well, a little over a month probably. Month and a half maybe. I don't remember. 1 woman, 3 identities, and a handsome lord trying to unmask them all. She has to masquerade as an heiress at a country estate for the summer. Oh, I vaguely remember this. Oh, my brain hurts. Yes, I think I vaguely remember this. It's the hidden identity trope, which is always one I like. And she does lie a lot because of the hidden identity trope, which doesn't... With that trope, I kind of expect that, but she lies a lot. And that's where I started to get a little uncomfortable in that regard. But elsewise, what else? Oh, it's only in her point of view. That was a bummer because it took me a while to warm up for him. Yeah, overall wasn't bad. Probably we'll see about the rest of the series, but I didn't like it enough to buy my own copy. Good story and good potential, just not a favorite. Let's go with that. Next, The Hidden Gift by Annette K. Larsen. This is part of the Christmas Chronicles multi-authored collection series, which was a bunch of retellings around Christmas time. And I think I read a total of 4 of them, maybe. I don't remember. I'll talk about the ones I really enjoyed. Did I talk about that in this video? No. I talk about none in this video, so I'll be talking about the ones I really enjoyed in my next video. This one was really bittersweet. This is kind of a retelling / origin story of Father Christmas, and bittersweet is the best way I can explain this book, because we have a girl who is working at a, not mansion, is that the word I'm looking for? You know, like a fancy place as a maid, and then because of her family situation, her dad got injured and then he's ill, and so her older 2 sisters, or her younger 2 sisters, I don't remember which order they all were in, but they make socks, and then she works at this Manor place, but there is a jerky steward guy, I don't remember what his title is, butler, house guy, and he's just a piece of work, and then she has a connection with this younger, handsome, nice guy who is supposed to be kind of like the Father Christmas. And I mean, it wasn't bad, but I think it should be noted that I really don't do the whole Santa Claus, Father Christmas thing. I have strong opinions on that. So it's kind of not a shock that this was a miss for me. I really don't have many thoughts on this book. It was cute. It was bittersweet at times. It had some sad parts. And I think that's all I'm going to say about it. I can't really say there was much about it that really stood out to me. I remember the main guy being a sweetheart and very kind. We didn't get his point of view though, except for in a bonus chapter that the author shared either in her newsletter or website or somewhere, and I wished after seeing that we really would have had his point of view throughout the rest of the series, the rest of the book, but we didn't. We just got her point of view, so that was kind of a bummer. It wasn't bad. It's not a new favorite though either. Okay, and then I have The Traitor's Masque by Kenley Davidson. This is a Cinderella retelling, and this cover is stunning, and yes, this is what attracted me to it. It was a very different kind of Cinderella in the fact that our main girl isn't like a take it all in stride, loving her step family anyway. This is a very sassy Cinderella, which was a fun difference. I would say it's probably more inspired by Cinderella than an actual retelling because there was a lot of different unique elements, and it kind of felt like a Regency setting kingdom, if that makes any sense. Like with the balls and everything, it didn't feel like a medieval fairy tale retelling. If you know the difference, you know the difference. Like, it definitely wasn't like a Melanie Dickerson by any stretch of the imagination on that. It felt more Regency leaning. I will say that this book felt really long. It kind of dragged for me, and for the majority of the book, in the last 25% where a lot of things happen, that's where I was way more intrigued in. So yeah, that kind of bumped my rating down a bit. In this book, our Cinderella character is basically given a task by this one woman that says she will basically give our Cinderella this money so she can go off away from her stepfamily and be left alone, or something like that. Something along the lines, I don't quite remember the details, but basically she's got a job and it's to go to the masquerade ball and dance with the prince. That's all she's got to do. What could go wrong? Well, everything could go wrong, and it does. And so that's basically the premise. I really like Cinderella retelling, so I was really bummed this was kind of just a 3 for me. I don't know, this was really a bummer for me. I kind of wish I had given it a little lower of a rating looking back. I'll keep it at a 3, but I feel like it probably would be a little lower for me because it dragged, but then also there's kind of some language sprinkled in that I didn't really care for seeing, and that would be like the H word and then both B words for male and female. And then the D word is also used. And I've got that all written out in my reviews, but in my review of this book, I should say. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I may pick up the rest of the series. I don't know though. So let me know if you've read anything else by this author. Let me know your thoughts on that. I would really appreciate that as well. Because great cover, but the story just wasn't quite what I was expecting. Another fairy tale retelling that I gave 3 stars was Barely Free by Abigail Manning. This was like a 3-ish. This was actually a Goldilocks retelling, and I thought that was fun because I don't think I've read a Goldilocks retelling before, and it was fun. I loved the little detail that our Goldilocks character, her family made furniture, and I don't know why, but that amused me so much, and that she loves porridge. I thought that was like cute little nods to the original story. She did have her moments of being a little bit of a brat though. And there was some, I don't know, it wasn't bad. Like, that's the thing, is when it's a 3-star, it's not bad in my opinion. It's just, I don't remember it. It is a book on my reading challenge. I don't remember it a few weeks later. With this book, I really don't have much to say about it. There was a few little plot points I was like, oh, I don't care for how that just went. It was a 3-star. I'll probably continue the rest of the series just to finish it because this was book 2. Then we have The Poisoned Prince by Kristin J. Dawson. And this is part of the Once Upon a Prince series. And I did like a lot of elements of the Snow White retelling, particularly that they were friends tomorrow. They'd been friends for quite a while. And so the main girl and guy have been best friends forever, but then something comes out that, oh, wait a second, she's the illegitimate daughter of the king. And then, of course, the queen is jealous and things happen, and our main guy is the huntsman. And I'm deciding that I really like Snow White retellings when they have that they were friends first, or that he is the huntsman that is going to protect her or go after her kind of thing. I like that little detail. I'm not really quite sure what else to say about this book. I liked elements of it. I liked how the author made it her own and added unique parts and then nods to the classic tale. It was a 3 stars for me though. I liked it. I will say I was a little uncomfortable with kind of the religion of the world and how the magic system was done, but that's probably more of a me thing than anything. And yeah, my next few are all 3.5 stars, and that's just like, I liked it. It's on the cusp of 3, 4. There you go. And again, these are ones that are kind of just all together because I can't really say I liked any of these over the other. So the first one would be What Comes of Attending the Commoner's Ball by Elisabeth Aimee Brown. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I did round up on Goodreads to a 4, and I guess that would be right to say. This one was different. I had heard a lot of hype for this book, so I went in with some pretty high expectations. And it's a cute concept. Our main girl is Hester, and Hester is very funny because she goes to this ball for the commoners because of the food. She's working in the city to support her family out in the countryside, and she's also very superstitious. And in this world there's like rumors of fays and fairies and all that kind of thing, and that you cannot make a deal with them or else you're going to basically be beholden to them for the rest of your life, and it's going to be terrible. And so she doesn't accept any help from anyone without paying them back. So she's not like, you know, doing a possible fae, a possible fairy, a favor. That's a huge part of the book. And at first I was like, okay girl, okay, we get it. We get it. So that is a major part of the book, and how the ending went down was very interesting. I can't really say much because of spoilers. I've seen a lot of people compare this one to Howl's Moving Castle, which I will just straight up say I didn't care for the book. I haven't seen the movie or anything. I didn't care for that book, so that's not really a winning endorsement, I guess you could say, for me. It was entertaining, but would I buy a physical copy? Probably not. Probably not. I don't really know what else to say about this book besides she's superstitious and cheeky, and then she gets involved with one of the crown princes, and then it's up, well, not one of the crown princes, the younger prince, and then the crown prince has to basically save her from his brother because his brother is just a menace. So yeah, that's the premise. It had its cute moments. The ending was, I kind of saw that coming, but it was still like, oh, okay, where is this going to go kind of concept. So yeah, cover's really cute though, and I will be watching to see what this author does next. Another one in the Once Upon a Prince series I read was The Midnight Prince by Angie. I'm going to say I'm not going to attempt the author's last name. I'm so sorry. I know there's no way I'm going to get that right. I gave this one 3.5 stars, rounded up to 4 on Goodreads. I wasn't sure about this one before I started because it is a fairy realm thing, and I've read a few of those, but I don't know, I still feel a little, they aren't really my thing, and I feel sometimes, depending on how it's done, I feel a little uncomfortable at times. And so this one basically is our main girl, the Cinderella character, if you will, is half fae, half human, and then the main guy is the prince, and he is, you know, obviously fully fae. And so different things have happened where, like, all his brothers prior to him have died, and so he becomes the crown prince, but he's basically been a weapon in a war, so he's not really, like, set up for that. And then the main girl, you know, being the Cinderella, has the step family, and there's kind of, like, she faces prejudice because she's half human in the fae world. And then it's basically a second chance. I'm rambling. I'm so sorry. It was a second chance, and like, what happened? Something happened. Okay, their hostile reunion leaves both of them reeling until they realize their memories of their breakup don't match, and neither of them is lying. And so there's a lot of magic in this book. I will say the ending kind of had me like, yay! What do you mean that's it? That's it? Kind of thing, you know, where like it's like you went through all of this, they finally got together, you hope. You get a little glimpse of happiness, and then acknowledgements from the author, or thanks from the author, or that kind of thing. Like, it's over too soon. So I did feel that way, and I would potentially read another book set in this world by this author, because I wanted to see what happens for these characters and how that all worked out for them, because I did like certain elements of the ending in books. So 3.5 stars, but it is very magic heavy, just as a heads up. My next 3.5 is In Myrtle, Peril by Elisabeth C. Bunce, and this is a secular middle grade book about Myrtle. This is book 4 in the Myrtle Hardcastle series, and in the first book, Myrtle is described as morbid, and if the shoe fits, you wear it, because kind of, yes, she is. She is obsessed with murders and solving them and trying to figure out who the murderer is. And so each book has typically at least one murder. This is book 4 though, and it is involving a heiress that was supposed to be lost at sea, but now as the will is being contested or some, I don't remember the exact details, but basically the inheritance is becoming an issue for this missing heir, and now here comes this girl saying, I'm the heiress, or someone is saying this girl is the heiress. And so Myrtle and her dad are kind of figuring it out and what's going on, and then of course there's suspicious accounts and whatnot, and then her dad has to be hospitalized for something. What was it? Did he have to get his tonsils out? I think he had to get his tonsils out, which was like so weird to read about for a Victorian time period, but I guess it happened. And so then he witnesses a murder at the hospital. So lots of different things happen. I don't really have too much to say about it. It's not my favorite one. I would maybe rank this as number 3 for me in the series, maybe. It was enjoyable, fun, but I've got content info in my reviews on Goodreads, so you can check that out. Okay, let's go on into my 4 stars. I'm so excited. I have 2 4 stars and they're basically level with each other. I don't think I could pick one over the other, but first I'm going to talk about A Curse for Christmas by Anna Kristin. I actually own this book physically. Oh, I own the Myrtle one too. I forgot to hold that up. Here's Myrtle. Okay, there's Myrtle. I actually though I'm going to run out of space. Okay, oh well. Okay, so A Curse for Christmas is a super cute little novella. And then, please accept. Is it? There's pictures. There's pictures in my cute little illustrated paperback. It is on Kindle Unlimited. No illustrations though. And the illustrations are really darling. The author did them herself. And that's just always so impressive to me when you can not only write a book, but you can do illustrations for your book. Like, so fun. This was such a surprise. I had this on my list to check out last year and I didn't get around to it, so I was super excited to get to it around Christmas time of 2024. And this was adorable. This really was adorable. Let me read you the opening line. Christmas Eve was off to a rough start, and that was before I was cursed by a Christmas cookie. Doesn't that just like get you? That gets me. And so on Christmas Eve, I shared quotes from this book on my personal Instagram, my personal bookstagram, and I did the safe from eating a cursed Christmas cookie. And I feel so clever about that. I'm not gonna lie, like I feel so tickled pink about that little meme right there. But this was really cute. Basically, our main girl is Ginny, and this is set in a modern-ish world, but there's magic and dragons, but it's like a contemporary setting with like cell phones and coffee shops and that kind of thing. But there's magic and dragons. Like, it was great. I would so read another book set in this world, multiple books in this world, because I was just like so enthralled, I guess you could say. I was just having such a fun time reading this book. It was cute, it was humorous, and basically our main girl Ginny gets a Christmas cookie from an old lady, and she eats it, but she splits half of it with this cute coworker, and then they're cursed, and they're falling in love with each other, and they're like, oh no, we have to break the curse. But then, of course, you're having, what are their feelings and what are the cookie's feelings? That doesn't make any grammatical sense, but you know what I mean. Like, is it their own feelings they're having, or is it because of the cookie? It was really cute. It's short. It was lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun. My next 4 stars that I honestly would put right up there with A Curse for Christmas, I don't think I could pick one over the other because they were both so much fun, was The Silent Prince by C.J. Brightley. This is also another one in the Once Upon a Prince series, but it's a gender-swapped, gender-flipped Little Mermaid retelling. It was really cute, y'all, I'm not gonna lie. This was a Little Mermaid retelling, but he's a little merman, and then he... What can I tell you about... I can't pronounce the main guy's name. Kyrus? It looks like it should rhyme with Prius, but I don't know if that's right. But he is very arrogant, but in the most amusing way. I was so greatly amused by this book because of his thoughts. So he sees the princess on the land and he's just like, oh, she's beautiful, I'm beautiful, this is meant to be. And so he comes up with a way to get, you know, Wilmore, he comes up with a way to get onto land, and he's just like, I'm gonna impress her with my beauty and like what a perfect specimen of a merman I am. Like, he's so arrogant, but it's so enjoyable. Like, there was a few times, yeah, I wanted to go, get it together, buddy. But most of the time I was just laughing because my cheeks literally hurt when I got done reading this book because I was smiling so much. It was so much fun. He fell first and he fell hard, and it was great. This is actually told only through his perspective. We don't get her perspective. And I was a little taken aback by that at first, but it worked so well that we saw her through his eyes, and he's great. So also, it should be noted, there's fake dating in this book in the sense of she needs somebody to be able to keep all these other prince suitor guys at bay, and so he appears and she's like, okay, you can't talk? Oh, okay, but you can be my fake fiance, friend guy, a suitor, what was it? Posed as her suitor. Yeah, okay, they did use the word suitor. And so I am soft for the fake dating trope. I think that's adorable. And so he is just, he is just fun. He was so much fun. And then, like, he's giving people insults, but he's talking with his hands. I don't know, I really like mermaid stories because every author does it differently. Like, what do the mermaids eat? How do they talk? How do they communicate? Are the sea creatures, are those their pets or their food? Like, it's just fascinating to me how every author does it differently. And I really liked a lot of elements about this book. It was very, very enjoyable. So I was excited I enjoyed this book. And also this cover is just like, wow. Wow. So yeah, it was a success. I had to buy a physical copy. So another one in the Once Upon a Prince series, I knew I read a bunch of these, but I didn't realize I read 4 of them in November, was my top favorite for the series, and that was The Wicked Prince by Celeste Baxendale. This one I gave 5.25 stars, if I can be like very specific. I liked this one maybe just a touch more than The Silent Prince, but I really did like that one. But this is a Robin Hood retelling, but switched. Again, she is Robin Hood and he is Prince John. And then we have basically a forced marriage where they have to get married and they're kind of sworn enemies, so there's a ton of banter and it was just so much fun. I found myself laughing so hard at this one because of the two of them and their antics. It was just so enjoyable. He kind of reminds me of Flynn Rider in a way, which is like such a weird thing because they're nothing alike, but there were certain little mannerisms and things he did that I was like, Flynn Rider would do that too, kind of thing. And he was just hilarious, and then their banter back and forth really reminded me a lot of Assassin of Fire and Sacrifice by Mary Meckham. So if you like either of these books and you haven't read the other, check it out, because I feel like you would really like them vice versa either way. And as far as like they do have to get married, I'm typically really cautious on those books because that typically has suggestive content, but this book was actually really clean in that regard. There was a couple kisses that lasted a while, but they didn't really have a lot of the details, if that makes sense in a way. This was different, but it was really enjoyable. The overall plot, I felt like I was just like grinning like a ninny the entire time I was reading it. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Cool cover too. This series had fantastic covers. So I've read 6 or 7 of the Once Upon a Prince series now, and I'll probably check out a couple of the other ones. I don't know if I'll read all of them. If you have read any of the ones that I didn't just list off, please let me know. I did read The Unlucky Prince back at the beginning of February, and I liked that one, but I think is that all of them? Is that only 5 then? I thought I'd read 6. I attempted the King Thrushbeard one, but I didn't pick it back up. I need to try to read it again, but I think that's it. So let me know if you've read any of them and which ones you'd recommend. And now, speaking of The Unlucky Prince, we are going to talk about an entire series I read in November. I was so excited. My parents bought this for me for Christmas, and I'm so excited I get to talk to y'all about these today because they were really good. So, as many of y'all probably know, I've been binge reading Melanie Cellier's books this year. Well, in 2024. And her sister is Deborah Grace White. So, once I finished Melanie Cellier's Fairytale retellings, I've moved on into Deborah Grace White's. Okay, I actually, though, how am I going to do this? My hands are full. My lap is full. Okay, so this is the Kingdom Tales. And so I guess we'll just discuss them in order. But then I'm going to tell y'all which ones I liked the most and like how I would rank them. We'll do that. So the first book is Kingdom of Beauty, and this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is a very classic take on that story. Not too much different from the original in the broad sense. But there is a dragon in this book, and all the books connect. So I would suggest reading them in publication date order, and then you get to read The Unlucky Prince, which I didn't realize, and I had read that one prior to these. I didn't realize it was connected to this series, but it is connected. So don't be like me and read them in publication date order. I don't know, this was just really cute. It was very much that traditional Beauty and the Beast, kind of the arrogant, cursed guy, and then our sweet girl. But she really reminded me, this is going to be very, like, a niched market is going to know what I mean by this. And the early 2000 Barbie movies, how she would just have a randomly sassy comment or eye roll. That's what Felicity reminded me of, and I really liked that. So I gave this one 4 stars. This one was really cute. She was kind of also a saint to put up with the Beast guy, because like most beasts, they're so arrogant and you just want to push them off a bridge. But we get character development, and it was really good to see. But then I picked up the second book, and that is Kingdom of Slumber. This is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. I gave this one 4.5 stars. This was excellent. This was lovely. I already really like Sleeping Beauty retellings normally, but this is now by far my favorite one that I have read. She was my favorite princess growing up, the Disney Sleeping Beauty, so it's not really shocking about that. But this was just so much fun. So much fun. I feel like I just kind of twirled in delight and happiness reading this book. So our main girl has been cursed to fall asleep. You know the story. But she is actually engaged to the second prince of another country, and they've been friends forever. Like, they grew up together, and it's just always been noted that, oh yes, they're gonna get married one day. And I just love that trope. That is just so much my thing with their friends, and then they're like, but now we have to get married. Oh, we have to get, okay. And then it's like, you know, all the thoughts and questions and dilemmas that has, but then true love wins in the end and all that jazz kind of thing. So, yeah, this one was really cute. I don't know how to explain this book besides, okay, let's see. What can I tell you that makes this maybe slightly different from the normal Sleeping Beauty retellings? Our main girl is Azalea. Love the flower name. We're having a theme today, and I'm here for it. She is engaged to Prince Bentley from another country, and they've been, like, betrothed since they were infants. And then, of course, in her christening ceremony, she is cursed, like the classic Sleeping Beauty is, by the fairies. And these were actually her uncle and aunts and uncles, great aunts and great uncles, I don't remember. They were family technically. And then one of them goes off and tries to do the curse that she's gonna die when she pricks her finger. But then we have the counter curse or counter blessing really, from one of the others, and it's like, no, she's just gonna sleep. So when the curse is activated, the rest of the country though goes to sleep as well. And so that's kind of become a thing that as soon as that happens, everyone's just like knocked out. As soon as the sun sets to all the way until it rises, they're just all knocked out. Except Azalea wakes up at night. And no, everyone else is asleep. But she's awake at night. But she sleeps during the day when everyone else is awake. So they don't know. And then the curse has activated where she can't like leave any messages or notes or anything like that. I want to reread this because this was so well done and well thought through that I was eating this up, my dear friends. I was enjoying it so much. This is a good floppy book. And yes, I just really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. Really, really good. I liked how it all worked out. I liked the ending. The pacing of this was brilliant to me. It flowed so well. It was really good. It was really good. If that's not obvious that's going to be talked about in my favorite books of 2024. Moving on into the third book of the series, I have Kingdom of Cinders, and this is obviously a And this is obviously a Cinderella retelling. And this is actually Bentley, the main guy in this one. He was a doll, my dear friends. He was so sweet. I love it when the main guy just is like heads over heels and smitten for the main girl. Oh, I have a type and I know it. I'm aware. So yeah, this book though is actually his older brother and his girl, and in their country, after the parents, the king and queen, saw what happened to Azalea as a baby being cursed, they outlawed magic. They're like, nope, no magic people in our country at all. If you have that, if your children come up as becoming mages, however you say it, we've discussed this before, I don't remember, but basically if you have that, you're off. You're banished from the country. You can't live in our area anymore. Pretty severe. And so our main girl, though, do you see where this is going? Our main girl, though, obviously does have magical abilities. That's all I want to say. That's all I want to say about that one. I don't want to give, honestly, I feel like the back cover of this one gives off too many details. It gives off too many details. So we're just going to keep going. And I'm going to talk about my second favorite of the series, and that would be Kingdom of Feathers. I wasn't expecting to enjoy this one as much. This is a Wild Swans retelling. I sincerely did not think I would like this book as much as I did. Like, I knew I'd like it, 4 stars, but I gave it 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. Our main girl is Rin, and she has 6 older brothers, but after a freak accident with a magic person, a magician sounds like they're all having a top hat and a dove's gonna come out of it. What are they called? Mages? Mage. We've discussed this in a past wrap-up, and I can't think how we said to pronounce it, but you know what I mean. The person that does magic, like a sorcerer, that kind of thing. Basically, something goes wrong with that. They try to protect her, and instead of her being killed, which was the intent of this sorcerer, her 6 brothers are all turned into swans. And she is given the thing that she cannot say a word for 6 years, or her brothers are going to die in their swan forms. Like, they're just going to die. As a swan. They're just going to die. And so, she basically just does not talk. And then we get a good time skip. See, we have all of that happen. All that breaks down. And then we have 5 years, 9 months, and 12 days later. And yeah, okay. I don't know what else to say about it. I just feel like I'm like fangirling and rambling, and I'm so sorry, but I hope that makes you interested in this series, because this was such a fun series. I also just really like seeing big families, especially big, happy, healthy families in books, so I really like that. But then how protective they were of her was just absolutely sweet. And then the main guy in this one is Basil. That's probably not how you say it. They said it different in the audiobook, but you know what I mean. And he was great. This is the one, though, that's really connected to The Unlucky Prince, which is a part of the Once Upon a Prince series. It's connected. So this was just really fun. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed that one. And then, of course, I continued on, and we have Kingdom of Locks, and this is obviously a Rapunzel retelling. And I gave this one 4 stars. I would say this one maybe has like the more of a trigger warning than any of the other ones, or content warning of potential or planned grooming by the villain towards our main girl. And I mean, it's very hinted on and light, but you kind of do get that vibe if you read into it, so take it for that how you will. It was still on the cleaner side for sure, of course. I didn't quite understand the magic of this book, though. My brain was just like, oh, cute romance. Like, it honestly was like, the magic kind of went over my head. At some points, it just does that. And so this is the one I was really looking forward to, though, after reading the first book, because in the first book, we're told that these are already published, so I'm going to go ahead and say this. I don't think this is a spoiler. In the first book, we are told that our beast, Prince Justin, his little sister, and the nursemaid disappeared. They died. Everyone assumed they died, which that nursemaid was actually the main girl in that, Felicity, her mom. How connections and fate works in these books. It's amazing. And so this book shows that, oh wait a second. They are in fact alive, just being held captive in a tower by a crazy sorcerer. So, there you go. And then the final book in that series is Kingdom of Dance, and this is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling. I gave this one 4 stars. This was a really good end to the series, in my opinion, because you do have that lingering mystery of what's going on with the magic in this continent, and then you've got the dragon connection throughout all the books, and there's more happening behind the scenes, and this is kind of the one where everything happens. So I would suggest reading them in order for that reason alone. It was really nice how it carried over. Like, it reminded me of Melanie Sellier's first series in a way, but different, but still very entertaining and made me very curious about what was going to happen. I gave all of these 4 stars, so I feel kind of weird ranking them, but if I had to, if you twisted my arm and I had to, number 1 for me would be Kingdom of Slumber, and then Kingdom of Feathers, Kingdom of Cinders, Kingdom of Dance, and then shockingly Kingdom of Locks I would put at 5, even though I was so looking forward to this one, and then I would actually put the first book in the 6th place. But again, I gave them all 4 stars, so take of that how you will. They all were enjoyable. If I had to rank them, that's how I would rank them, from my favorite to, I don't want to say least favorite, because I gave them all 4 stars, but you know, they were really fun, and I binged this whole series on my Kindle in 2-3 weeks. The entire month of November, I was just like enthralled, and they were so much fun. They're also really heavy though, so hang on. So the last couple of recent reads, I've been talking about the Secrets of Ormdale series by Christina Bayer. I have enjoyed this series so much. So I was really excited to finally read these final 2 books. I know, my goodness. This one came out in November. Look how thick it is. It is 500 pages. It was great. We'll come back to that. But this one came out in November, so I was starting to reread and then catch up. And so I read City of Serpents, and I gave it 4.5 stars. When I gasped at the ending. I gasped. There were so many things in this book. I haven't annotated my copies of this series yet. I need to, but the author announced on her newsletter, can I say it if she shared it on her newsletter? I'm going to share it. So sorry. She's doing a Kickstarter for special editions of these books. Take my money now. I'm ready. I'm so ready. At some point this year she'll be doing that. I think she said in the first quarter. I'm ready. I'm ready. Give me all the special editions. So, I think I may annotate those. And by annotate, I just mean sticky notes. So maybe I'll do that in these and leave those in pristine condition. I don't know yet. But regardless, I am very much looking forward to just like forking over money to get those editions, because they're going to be beautiful. I already heard details and I'm just so excited. So that's what I'm just going to say. So let's see. What can I talk about this series? I feel like I've already talked y'all's ear off about this series. It's such a good series. This is book 4 and 5 though. So what can I tell you that's not spoilers? It's a cozy fantasy historical series. The first 2 books are more cozy. Book 3 and 4 are more suspense adventure. And then book 5 is a perfect mix of the 2 in my opinion. What can I say about this book that's not a spoiler? I was flabbergasted left and right. The amount of curveballs in this series, I was just like, left and right. So much. The ending of this book still gets me. It's like, I was so glad this was coming out. And then my Kindle edition came early, or this came early. One of my editions came early, and I was so glad, because I just was like, okay, I'm reading it. It was good. It was good. And then, okay, so 4.5 stars. I'm fangirling. I can't talk when I'm fangirling. Nothing makes sense when I'm fangirling, so my apologies, because I just want to fangirl and squee and squeal, and there you go. So then I finally read Valley of Dragons by Christina Bayer. 5 stars, my dear friends, 5 stars. This is 500 pages, and I could have read it in a quicker time, but I read it in 12 hours because I had to do actual life stuff, which was just annoying that life got in the way, because I wanted to read this book. Because I was so ready for answers and for things to be revealed, and yeah, things were revealed, and I was mind blown. I was quite literally blown, because when I read books, I've read so many books. Like, I don't want to like sound conceited or bragging, but I've read a ton of books over the years, so there's very few plot twists that actually shock me. So when a book shocks me with a plot twist, I'm going to tell y'all about that, because that's a lofty thing for that to happen. And when I tell you this happened all throughout the series, especially these last 2 books, I was just blown away by the twists and the turns and the curveballs. It was just wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. It's just such a gem. It's such a gem. I am so excited that there's going to be special editions, because I am so ready to own them in whatever other edition. Okay, let me just explain this to y'all. There is no other series I own, both as ebooks, paperbacks, and audiobooks of what's out. I will be getting the rest of the audiobooks as they release. I have them in all 3 editions. There is not a single other series that I've done that for. That should tell you something right there. They have been so enjoyable. I'm so excited for this Kickstarter, but I'm also so excited the author is going to be doing a spin-off series about the younger generation in here, a bit older, and I am thrilled. I am thrilled to go back to Ormdale and the world and just have all of it. I'm really excited. So yes, this was a smashing success. So good. So good. And that is the end of my fangirling. And the end of this video. Let's talk about our stack real quick. Here is our stack. And I'll be unhauling the very bottom one, Shadows of Ashthorne House. I don't think there's any others on this list today that I would buy. I think this is it. Yes, so that is our stack of books. That is all the books for today. I hope this video is somewhat coherent. I feel very frazzled today, so I feel like that's evident in this video, so my apologies. Hopefully some of my fangirling got you excited about these books if you haven't read them or are interested in them. And then, yeah, I don't feel like I did very good though on my lower star books, so sorry about that. Sorry. I hope you still enjoyed this video though. I think that's it though. I'm gonna let y'all go though. I'm pretty worn out now. I feel like I just spent what energy I had left on fangirling, and that's a great feeling, but I think I need to go cuddle in with a book. I'm actually currently, as of filming this, reading Deborah Grace White's, her other Fairytale series. I'm currently in the middle of book 2, so I'm gonna go finish this video and then I'm gonna go read. That's what we're gonna do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've read any of these. Do you want to read any of these? Did any of these catch your eye? If you have read some of those authors I had questions about, please feel free to let me know your thoughts about them, either in the comments or message me. I have my Instagram for book reviews by Lindsay, and then BFCG's Books for Christian Girls Instagram. I'm also on TikTok, Instagram, Goodreads, Facebook, here on YouTube. I'm on all the social media sites, and then of course our blog, booksforchristiangirls.blogspot.com, where I am trying to post a new review twice a week this year. I typically do that, but that's, hopefully that will happen this year as well. So I will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an absolutely lovely rest of your day.